music. It's real hip hop music. Come on, come on.
All right, 1, 2. This is Major Journalism. I'm your host, David Traum Shanks. Back with another episode. Here today with two distinguished guests. One you may be familiar with from the Guests in the House podcast. We interviewed this gentleman maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah,
Mr. Selwyn Jones, philanthropist now, an activist.
Crazy.
Most famously maybe known as the uncle of our beloved George Floyd. So we're going to get into some updates on that and also discuss what he's been up to in the last 12 to 18 months. He's here today with Liz Darden, who is the co-founder of Hope 929, a nonprofit organization. So we're going to get into that as well. So Liz and Uncle Selwyn, welcome to Major Journalism.
Hello, young man. How are you, Mr. Shanks?
I'm good, sir. I'm good, sir. I want to go on record to say I think Uncle Selwyn was coined in a Guest in the House podcast. I feel like I'm the first one on record.
We was in the house,
to call you Uncle Selwyn. So Uncle Selwyn,
man,
how's it going? What's going on? Catch us up.
I'm crazy.
Yes.
I've literally gone cuckoo for Cuckoo Puffs.
Okay.
The world is still in turmoil. People still have anger, hatred, power and control issues. And we're just trying to make a difference, man.
Beautiful.
We're just trying to make a difference. Miss Darden is also my co-host to what, Liz? Setting it straight with Selwyn.
Yes, I saw that.
Yes, we partnered up with TMS Studios and Revolver Media to bring a political and inspirational podcast to help inspire and level that playing ground. There's so much division in our society, and we bring on special guests to have these conversations that we want to bring awareness to situations that occur too often because of what we believe in systemic racism. And there's so many issues surrounding that. So we just have these conversations and bring light and spread joy, really, because if individuals from different backgrounds, if we made more effort to try to understand different situations and put ourselves in other people's shoes, we feel that this world would be a lot better off.
We have our work cut out. Thank God for people like yourself for giving us the opportunity to see our face, man, because if we're not heard, we can't accomplish anything, and you have to start.
Yeah.
There's always got to be a start before there's a finish. And there's a lot of people that hasn't started believing that we're equal. And that's what I try to do. We're all equal. Look, you can pinch me and it hurts. If I don't eat, I'm hungry. There's a lot of people in this world that are hungry for equality because they've been stuck per se in the back of the bus. And it's still that way today, man. And I hate it. I hate it. We see so many things that you just want to shake your head at. But if you shake your head, nothing gets done. So I want to shake my head. Let's get it. Let's get it, boy. Just like we're going to go eat lunch, which is coming up pretty soon. Let's get it. Let's get it.
And I love the cover art on the podcast as well. You look like James Bond.
I am Black Bond.
I love it. You got the shades on. I love it.
Hey, man. Hey, man. I was finna go eat, son. I was finna go eat. That's what I was about to go do.
But I wanted to so we've got the podcast, we've got nonprofit organization, we've got a book deal.
We got a book.
We've been very busy. Talk about just, I guess, that transition from being like a mourning uncle to taking action to where we are now with the book, with the podcast, with the nonprofit organization. Let's get into what the nonprofit organization is. It organization or organizations? Because it sounded like Liz said plural. So are there multiple organizations you're involved with?
We've got Soulful Heart, and we have Hope 929. And I've just been trying to keep moving, man. You know, I don't know the word quit. And my thought process is to do everything humanly possible to put me in a position for people to see this ugly face, for me to be able to be effective in this world. The book, it's not about Selwyn. Some parts is about me, but it's basically about change. Because, as you said, that mourning uncle, well, actually, I never mourned. You know, that's the reason why I'm able to communicate with people that are in similar situations. Grief to me means I need to get to work. A lot of people's families that, I know we're involved with a group, and you got women that have been going through this for 10 to 12 years, and they're still angry, mad. I was angry and mad for about a day. And then, okay, man, what can we do to have our nephews back? But it wasn't just my nephews back. It was all people that looked like us, Shanks. Oh, wait, it was all people that looked like Liz. I believe in Black Lives Matter, but I believe in all lives matter, man. Because we all come here for a short period of time. Why can't we? I want to make the world a better place when I leave than before I got here. So, man, it's hard. I talk to people all the time, and that process of losing a family member, and the way that people subject the family to torment, that talk crap about the family. The granddaddy that ran off the road, that got a speeding ticket 100 years ago, was the reason why police brutality happened, and that's sad. So, man, it's I got I don't I don't take it I don't take it hard. I don't take anything difficult. All I know is I'm that person. I would say, how can I say this? Most people tell me they're sorry. A lot of people say I'm sorry about your nephew. I don't take it as I'm sorry. I take it as I was the person that number was called to go to work. So I use this as fuel to go.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So,
Right.
man, it's hard.
I
And
admire that about you, Uncle Selwyn, because there's so many people going through similar situations, grieving, and just want to close themselves off. And we all have our own way of handling grief. But you took this opportunity to help others. People reach out to Uncle Selwyn daily because there is a lack of tools and support for people overcoming their family members being murdered by police brutality or gun violence, or also people reaching out that have been homeless and or transitioning out of incarceration. And that's what inspired Hope 929 to come about. It started as an empowerment group. We would meet, every couple of weeks, and just all across the country have individuals tell their stories and say, how can we help you? How can we, shed light to your situation? Because unfortunately, our society, if there's not enough awareness that is brought to the injustices, then nothing's going to be done. Prime example, George Floyd, Daniela Frazier. If she wasn't there to record his murder, would this movement have expanded to where it's at today? No.
Right.
So the
Right.
more awareness that we bring, the more conversations that we're open to having. That moment was so pivotal because businesses, cities, people from around the world just took their stance and started to understand, systemic racism has a huge impact, has a huge effect on people all over the world. And it's time to start realizing that. And it's time to start changing and making a more, like I said, level playing field for everybody to have equal opportunities and move forward in life.
isn't it sad that we, as people, people of color, people in general, have to go through the same torment that our ancestors went through? Think about that, man. You know, uh, Brittany Grandma got released from prison,
Yeah. 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 Well, my
and
heart.
we debated on that on our show a couple times. And where does the sadness come from? sadness comes from a African American LBG woman that was in playing basketball that had a minuscule amount of THC liquid. Now, you ready for this one? She got more time, original time, than the police officers, 3 police officers that killed my nephew.
Yep, almost
Think
triple
about
the
that.
time. Almost triple the time, right?
Yeah, think about that, man. So, does anybody like us? You know, does anybody respect the color of our skin? You know, and so, man, I don't preach for a black person. I preach let's get our butts to moving, and because we're just not people of color, we are people strong. You know,
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
have just had knees, ropes, chains, whips. You know, and we're breaking that, man. We have to break that in order for us to be a whole rounded individual, man. And I'm going to tell you, this is ugly because I had police brutality. We talk about gun violence. And the first thing people say, more black people kill black people than black people. You know what I'm saying? That's a problem that has been with us for hundreds of years because we were taught not to like each other. We were taught back in the other days, if we bond together, you got 5 white people that are running a camp. You have 200 people working in the camp. So, that's that Willie Lynch power and control and whoop that butt. You know what I'm saying? So, man, and that still happens today.
Yeah.
So, this isn't sadness. This is happiness because we're moving ahead. Sadness is when you when you get stuck in the mud. I don't believe in quitting, man. And how can I quit on this? How can I quit on this? Since
And you
people,
have a lot of prestigious individuals backing you, Uncle Selwyn. On your book, you have Cornel West that did the foreword, Ben Vereen that did the introduction, his
Ben
co-author, Nan
Vereen.
O'Brien. She offers a historical perspective of the the way this country has been set up and the effects that still exist today from enslavement and the Jim Crow. And Uncle Selwyn was born into abject poverty as the youngest of 17 children, and just the things that his family had to endure and overcome and get to where he's at today as a successful businessman. And just tying into the series of events leading up to and up until now from the point of George Floyd's murder, I highly recommend the book. And people can go get their pre-orders at fanentertainment.net. And the book is
What is
scheduled
the
to be
name?
released.
What's the name of the book?
A Silent Civil War. Go ahead.
A silent civil war that my nephew exposed to the world.
Okay.
And,
I like that.
because there was a war going on. And 2 types of people. People that could read and people that didn't want to read. And the people that didn't want to read had 9 minutes and 29 seconds to get it stuck right in their face. They played that video over 10,000 times in a week. So you were in my family for the first week of his death because that's all you saw. And you had all these people that thought that we were different that had to watch that video, and they know how to read now. They know how to read. They saw something that they knew that existed, but you didn't physically see it. And they physically had an opportunity to see how their people destroyed people of color. And the whole world came to life because they knew that in this world and this society, that those 4 police officers were free for 4 days. They were free. And if Darnella Frazier wouldn't have been there, I don't even want to think of that. I don't even want to think about what would have been if Darnella Frazier wasn't there on that corner.
She's a hero here.
Huh?
Yep, she's a hero.
Yep.
Absolutely. Now I want to because I want to catch up with how the family's doing, but hold that for a second. I
Okay.
want to kind of rewind back and I want to ask Liz about her kind of entry into this work, how you met Selwyn, and just give me a little background on, kind of your your inspiration and what got you to move in this direction and get into
Absolutely.
advocacy and activism yourself.
Absolutely. Well, going back to my early childhood, I was born and raised in Anchorage, Alaska, a very diverse community, attended the most diverse high school in the country, and eventually moved 11 years ago to Harrison, Arkansas, that has a horrible reputation of being the most racist in the nation. Originally, I had a fear to move here because I'm raising culturally mixed children myself. The head of the KKK is about 10 miles from my house, and that instilled a fear in me. But instead of living in fear, I chose to get involved with the community, become an educator, join the task force on race relations, got appointed to co-chair, and just started coordinating events to bring unity in the community. We partnered up with the Martin Luther King Jr. Commission, and that was about a year ago in November. And they had Uncle Selwyn as a special guest. I spoke at that event, and ever since then, Uncle Selwyn and I just collaborated, started meeting with individuals from around the country and just see how can we make a difference? How can we utilize this platform and actually create change in a positive direction? So that's where we're at, and that's how we co-founded Hope 929, where we want to help individuals who have been historically marginalized, whether they are overcoming incarceration, homelessness, drug addiction, um, overcoming police brutality, and just help them, give them tools. We're in the process of partnering up with organizations that will help public safety. It'll help police force. It'll help connect individuals to feel more safe no matter what circumstance they're in, because they have an app that can notify individuals of where their whereabouts is, and it'll also connect them to the general attorney to let them know, like, hey, this happened here. Actually document that. And this company is called I'm Aware, but we're in the process of partnering up with them and similar organizations that just want to make a change. And that's what this is about. Business is about collaboration, and we're in the business to serve and change lives.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And so, Uncle Selwyn, how is the your family doing in these last 2 years?
They're moving. They're going through the process. That's what I say. They go through the process, and people have different ways of feeling. Some people are, well, obviously extroverts and introverts. I am the only one right now that got my feet on the ground, getting it. My sister obviously runs the foundation in Minneapolis. Uh, Morning to me is, let's make a difference. So I am in this to win this, per se.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? And speaking for yourself, I don't want you to speak for the entire family, but speaking for yourself, what are your thoughts on naysayers in the last 2 years and recently
Kanye,
the Candace Owens of the world, the
man,
I was
Kanye's of the
just thinking about that.
world.
oh, boy, you see me set up? You see me set up? Get ready. I'm just, man.
The documentary that she has, The Greatest Lie Ever Sold or Ever Told, George Floyd and the Rise of the BLM. It's unfortunate that she's putting, okay, I get the organization aspect. I haven't watched the film yet, but it's unfortunate that you are like debunking a whole movement that is so necessary, especially as a person of color, to come out and say such about her own people, and especially George Floyd. The comments that she made about George Floyd, it's just uncalled for, because he's a person who mattered. No matter if he had whatever substance inside of him, his voice mattered. He was
money.
Go ahead. Money.
No, keep going. I'm just being. I'm
He's
being
just
your background.
he's ad-libbing. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
ad-libbing.
I'm
This
putting a
is
hook in there.
personal to
Money,
you more so, and I think the people would like to hear from you on
money.
what about money, Uncle Selwyn?
I was putting a hook in there. Money, money. When you were talking money, I was trying to make the song going. It is about them dead presidents. There's absolutely nowhere in the world that you could get me to turn my back on all of my folks because of $1 to join the side of people that think that we're different. You know, God bless her soul. I hope she has a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. That's what I say about Miss Candace Owens. My job isn't to talk crap about people and to talk crap about people. My job is to help people, and people that don't believe. Hey, man, I tell them all the time. If you don't want to hear what Uncle Selwyn got to say, and I got a lot to say, buddy, don't listen. I don't want to force anything on anybody. But if people want to hear a true story by a true person, you listen to me. If not, that's okay. Because everybody's not going to believe. If everybody believed in the same thing, this would be sad. You know what I'm saying? But this, it just blows me away, man. When I think about people, I had somebody send me last week that sent me a little meme, and it says George Floyd has been sober for 2 years, 6 months, and whatever. And what that meant was the only way he would be sober is if he was dead. So man, I don't think the hatred's ever going to leave. I don't think ignorance is ever going to leave. So man, people that want to see, want to hear, listen, hey, we're fine. But
It may not never leave, Uncle Selwyn, but it's our duty to listen. It's our duty to walk with humility, peace, and love. And I'm a believer, and a lot of other people claim to be believers, but express and demonstrate hatred. And when we close off a whole group of people that are experiencing situations that seem to be a vicious cycle that keep coming about, more division ploys come into play. Even with the Brittany Griner, for instance, people are mad because they traded Brittany Griner instead of the veteran. I think it was Wayland is his last name, who was accused of being a spy. But there's a whole debate in that. And instead of just being excited for someone that found justice, we're finding more reasons to just continue this division instead of coming together. If we could just try to understand other people's experiences, this world will be a much better place. Instead of just moving forward with our own opinions and our own experiences and not looking beyond ourselves.
You know what opinions are like?
Everyone has one.
And most of the time, people should just keep it within.
Well, the thing is, I think even beyond that now, everyone has a platform. So
everybody has a platform,
opinions and platforms are now. So before you had an opinion, you had no outlet to express it. And now anyone can crack this mic, anyone can turn this phone on. And so what we have are a lot of people who are just, contrarians. They just go the opposite way of the tide just for the sake of going the opposite way
just
of the
for the
tide.
heck of it.
I guess more so just as someone who's or as individuals, both of you have transitioned into dedicating your life to this fight for unity and equality. How, do you get discouraged? Do you, knowing that there's always going to be a segment of people that no matter what you say, no matter what you bring, no matter what your efforts are, these folks are going to believe what they believe. Some of these people who believe the theories and the fentanyl and all of this, they were going to believe something either way. They were going to find a reason why the movement shouldn't be the movement, or we shouldn't be thinking about this, or the police did nothing wrong. There was nothing we can say or do that's going to make them think opposite. Do you feel like fighting against that current? Do you ever get discouraged?
I want to know how can you be? I'm not calling any names. How can you be $1 billion rapper? When did you get your medical degree in between rapping and chasing Kim? And and it's amazing that people want to put themselves in the light, and sometimes it don't matter if you're in the light. You know, uh, I would never want to receive any gifts from downing a death of anyone, especially a movement like we have, man. This is this is in it to win it stuff. You know, I'm going to die, and I'm probably going to die earlier than I was supposed to because I put my foot in the fire. And I sat there and I watched my nephew's brutal torture murder. And from that day, that's how we got involved. I have been straight ahead, because without dreams, nothing happens. And I didn't dream this. This was a nightmare. And same principle, man. You see it, okay, you focus, okay, this is what our plan is. I can lead a horse to water. I can't make it drink. Those that don't want to drink, hey man, I got another place for you. I could tell you to go, but I'm politically correct now, and I don't use those type of words anymore. I'm a Christian. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All I know is this: there's a lot of people in this world that need Jesus. Sister Darden, man, let me tell you, I gotta tell you
Yes.
how I met Crazy. I gotta tell you how I met Crazy. I went down to Harrison, Arkansas. Now they have towns. It's supposed to be the most racist town in the world.
Wow.
They've got
That's
billboards.
it's quite a title.
Yep, they got billboards that said, white power radio.
Wow.
They have billboards that just totally display if you're black, you need to get your ass out of town because you don't belong here. And Deshaun Scarborough called me and asked me, "Hey man, we're having an event down in Harrison. It's the most racist town in the world. Would you like to join us?" Heck yeah! I'm down
Right.
with that, man.
Right into the smoke.
Let's get
I
it.
love
Let's
it.
get it.
Yeah.
And I go and I see this Caucasian young lady walking, and she has 3 babies behind her. Most of the time, when you see a Caucasian young lady with biracial babies, it seems like they're on the outskirts, especially in small towns, because obviously this didn't happen there. So they had to come home, humiliation,
Right.
and this girl walk around with her head up, just, and I'm thinking, man, okay. And I'm standing on the podium, and they gave her an award. And Shanks, she started talking. And, when she accepted her award, and, when she said, thank you very much, nice and meager. And then she's like, hold on, give me the microphone. And she grabbed the microphone, man, and she started putting it down hard. But basically what she was saying was, my babies, they're mine. Ain't nobody gonna mess with mine.
Right.
And if you mess with mine, we got issues. So she literally put herself in the ring of fire for her babies.
Yeah, well, those mama bear instincts kick in. They the most powerful.
And I loved it. I got goosebumps on my arms. And that's she said that. Shanks, you know what she did? She dropped the mic. Walked off stage. I was like, it was like that 720 dunk. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, my arms got goosebumps on them. I couldn't even pick my arms out. When she walked by me, I was like, and that's how that came, man, because that power and that passion,
right,
of a person of a small stature, with big dreams, big mindset, that just sort of kind of gravitated to me. Hey, man, listen, we got to hook up. We got to do something.
That's
to
what
make
we
a difference
need
in this world.
That's
So,
what we
and that's
need.
how we've been rocking, man. We I got to get this correctly. There's 10% of the people that have beautiful tans like us. There's 72% of the people. And basically what I'm saying is there's a sister, there's a wife, there's a niece, there's a cousin, there's somebody sort of kind of might resemble Liz. Well, when that situation happens, I am about black power, but I'm also about all power.
Right.
So how many people could I reach versus how many people could she reach? So I'm just trying to kill two birds with one stone, man, because I want everybody to come in our house, baby. I want everybody to be in the house. Because if you're not inside, you're outside. People, we don't need to be looking in anymore. We need to be in the house. And there's a lot of people, man, that they want to come, but they don't. I really wish we had more people that cared, man.
I think a lot of people care. I think a lot of people have been kind of beat into submission, so to speak. A lot of people don't think their voice or their actions can cause any real change. And so, folks like you and Liz and what you're doing, the inspiration that gives to people to know that you don't have to be, LeBron James or a multi-billionaire to have a voice. You can just decide that you want to do something and you can just go into action. You can take something that could be labeled as a tragedy, a personal tragedy, and you can have that galvanize you to, act. And I think that's important, and that's what we're doing here, um, individually and collectively. I think we have to understand that collectively we're stronger.
So, sometimes, man, you have to put them on the front porch. You have to make them, you have to make them look in, and you have to educate, motivate, and sometimes you might use that little irritate situation.
Yeah.
And you always got to have that conversation, because without conversation, without talk, there's no results. And that's pretty much my basic thought process. We all got to talk, because how does things change? By communication. Because most people believe change comes with what? Change. Violence.
Yeah.
That's how change comes.
Yeah.
And
I mean, historically. Yeah.
and most of the people, how much blood has been spilled off our back?
Too much.
Too much. How much blood has been spilled off their back? Not much.
In this country? No.
Not much. So pretty much when people always talk about the national anthem. I believe I love America. I love my people. The reality is, when that was made, our ancestors were slaves.
Very much so.
But that wasn't built for us. That wasn't made for us.
No.
Politics wasn't made for us.
No. This
This
country wasn't made for us.
This country wasn't made for us.
Right.
And I don't, and some people say, well, if you don't like it, leave. I can't. I got kidnapped. My ancestors got kidnapped. So I'm stuck here. I'm not going to say any horrific things about this beautiful place that I live, because I like where I'm at. But it isn't the place, it's the people. And there's so many people that have so much hatred in their heart. I don't know if it's envious, jealousy, or what. Prime example, you know where I live at. I still live here.
That's amazing.
And since I've seen you, I've been run up. I had my house run up in. I don't know, about 2 times. We had a string of robberies in town. And right behind my motel, there's a store. There's a Napa, and that was one of the robberies.
Wow.
And they came and got our video, and I can't get gas or any commodities in town, and I was driving that devil, and she gave out of gas, and my wife was following me. Now, at the same time, there was some people robbing the store. So I gave them my video to see if they can get any evidence of who it was. And this was on a Monday. I'm doing a Zoom call Wednesday upstairs, and my little 9-year-old comes up to me and says, "Dad, I want you to be calm." She's a real sweet little baby girl. "I want you to be calm, Daddy, because you're gonna be mad. You're gonna be mad." There are 4 police officers downstairs, and they want to search the house for a sandal and a sweatshirt used to rob the store. And she's like, "Dad, I'm gonna go now because I see your eyes." And I sat there, and I was like, "What's going on downstairs?" And my wife said, "Miles, they want to they want to check the house. They want to search the house." I was like, "Nobody's searching my house." And the guy said, "Man, could you come down here?" So I jumped down the stairs. There 4 of them in there, and I'm like, "What?" "Okay, Shanks, my house is 7,200 square feet. I have about $500,000 worth of cars, new cars, in my yard. And now, hold me back up. Did not come from George Floyd. Those were Selwyn Joneses.
Well, I think my audience knows you had a hotel and all of that.
I've been eating. I've been eating my whole life because I grew up poor in a bucket, using a bucket, no indoor plumbing, and that motivated me not to want to be there, not to want to do that. Nobody around me I wanted to be like, because if everybody around you is poor and they're all suffering, they're all starving, why would you want to be that? So nobody that I saw growing up as a kid, I wanted to be like, but there was one person that motivated me. She was 5'11", about 240 pounds. Her name was Lauren Jones, and she told me, "Winners never quit, quitters never win. So let's get it." So me and Liz remind me about the 18-foot tree. So I'm in the house. I go downstairs, and they're down there. And what is this about? I pulled my politically correct voice out. So to see if that would, deter them from doing what they were going to do. "So what's happening? So what are we doing today? What's going on here?" "Well, we're going to search your house." I'm like, "Well, you ain't searching my damn house, because if you're going to tell me, first of all, that where my car gave out of gas, it was right in front of the chief of police's house. It was right in front of the guy that owned the store's house. So that means that I got out of my car. I had to run a mile, Shanks, to rob the store. Then I had to run a mile back with a case of Busch Light and a carton of cool cigarettes. My motel is 3 blocks from the store."
Uncle Selwyn, it's unfortunate because so many people, because of the color of their skin, are accused of similar crimes. And I hate that happened to you.
It was funny.
If you don't mind, I want to go back to the question that you had asked when it comes to how do you stay motivated when people try to steer you off track.
Sure.
And for me, it's when we stop making things about ourselves and we put ourselves in other people's shoes, and you keep hearing these stories, and we have friends that have lost their loved ones to police brutality, and you want to tell their story. You want to help them overcome and triumph through this horrendous storm. And then also it's for our future generations. We're not going to be here too long, but our children, their children, how are we going to set the tone now? So that's what motivates me. It's not about, yes, we can get on our own mind and have self-doubts, like, is this really going to work? Or, it's just setting those goals, daily goals. Who can we impact? How can we impact? And go into different communities with our events and specialists and tools that we can help provide to get them through the storms. And that's just what continues to motivate me. And I believe Uncle Selwyn as well. And even when he has to go through those situations, when he's being accused in a community, when he's a national activist, it's ridiculous. But he has been able to accomplish some things even in his town to get that Confederate flag removed off the police uniforms. Why did Gettysburg, South Dakota have a Confederate flag on there?
Because
they weren't part of the Civil War. Like, why did they have that in the first place?
Heritage. The heritage. Most people use the word heritage. guess what? They're using their heritage for not the heritage part of the Civil War. They're using it as the hateful part of the Civil War. That's the reason why people don that flag. That flag.
Yeah.
I grew up with people. I grew up in North Carolina, so I know plenty of people that 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 still have the flag. And that's their heritage. But the people that don the flag where I'm at, they're using that hate heritage that goes with the flag.
That's the connection.
That's the connection. You know what I'm saying?
And it's intimidation as well.
It's intimidation, and when you have hate groups flying the flag, and then you want to fly the flag too, it kind of makes you like you're affiliated. It makes it look like you associate with the same belief system that these hate groups have. But what I will say is there's a lot of positive things that have come out of this movement, and communities like the one I live in. Like, I'm very proud of the community that I live in, because
how did you end up there?
So my roots are here. My family settled in Ponca, Arkansas, about 40 minutes from where I live. Beautiful. People travel from all over the world to come to the Buffalo National River. That's my family's stomping grounds. And they migrated to Harrison. So I grew up visiting here every year, but I had that fear because my cousin would be like, the head of the KKK lives down the road, and I'm like, well, that's unheard of where I live, because we have all these different cultures and all these different foods and music, and we celebrate each other's differences. Like, so it was moving here was like a culture shock to me, even as a white woman, because of what I was used to what it is now. But the hope is that this movement has forced communities like mine to open themselves up to having those conversations and take a stance. And this community has gathered together to take a stance and become a louder voice than the small percent who are racist in this community, and start doing things to bring unity and bring a more welcoming spirit here. And yes, I am proud to live in Harrison, Arkansas now. And just because there's people coming in, and there was a viral video that went out to label us the most racist town in the nation. An individual came for 3 days, and he took all the negative comments, because there are people that have that mindset to say, BLM. They were saying rude things. But it's definitely not the most racist. I mean, you can see the things that he's going through in his community in the North. Racism is everywhere, right?
I live in the town.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where we just have to continue to move forward and try to make the best situation possible for the future generations to come. What we do now sets the tone. So how are any listener out there, how are you going to have an impact? How are you leaving your footprint? What kind of footprint are you leaving behind? What kind of messages are you delivering? Be mindful before you make bold statements. Be mindful of other people's experiences before you come out and express your opinion, because your opinion can, attract other people to be like, yeah, I agree, but without really having a full understanding. Just like the Brittany Griner and people labeling her, she hates America. She hates America. When did she ever say she hates America? She dissected some lyrics from the national anthem when people were in a moment of putting their foot down on, look, the systemic racism exists today, and there's still effects of it. And just because she was dissecting the lyrics of the national anthem does not mean she hates America, ladies and gentlemen.
And yeah, I think that, when we make those judgments, it's difficult. I mean, we've had, we're going back to Paul Robeson and the communist movements and things like that. There's always been individuals of our hue, Uncle Selwyn, and individuals who fight with us who have been labeled as anti-American or hating America. And, that's just the way to get around having a conversation about the actual things that these individuals have spoke to and about. So that's a regular Wednesday. Anyone who speaks truth to power is going to be labeled anti patriotic or anti-American, or so that's that. I think the important thing for individuals like yourself, Liz, and individuals like you, Selwyn, I mean, you guys are examples of folks who kind of live in the heart of what people on either side of the coast, whether it's California or New York, you know what I mean, would say those people are the problem with our country. You know what I mean? And you're both in the heart of that kind of fight, trying to make change, trying to bring education, like you said, Uncle Selwyn, which I think is very important. I mean, there are
Got to.
people, I mean, shoot, I lived in Philadelphia area for
How's
many
that for you?
years. And
I like Philly. I like Philly.
Philly is Philly. But what we all and our
Have you
producer
ever heard of
Anthony,
them? Have you ever heard of the Mod?
the mod,
The Mod family.
no.
They dropped a bomb.
The move.
Is that it?
Yeah, move. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
move.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah. Very,
crazy.
yeah, very familiar. Yep, very
That's
familiar.
crazy.
But they, a common kind of anecdote in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, in general, is that Pennsylvania is Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Alabama in between. So those of us know that even outside of Philadelphia, even in the outskirts of Philadelphia, you'll see those Confederate flags flying. You'll see them on the back of trucks in the Walmart. And this is 15 minutes from Philadelphia, which is one of the most diverse cities in the country. So I think that I guess my question on that is, or just what I want commentary from you guys with is, sometimes we get an understanding of the struggle based on proximity. So whether Liz growing up in a diverse community and then raising multicultural children and having that proximity to the cause, to the movement, to just understanding the plight of people of color. But there's millions upon millions. I would say even the majority of the people in this country who have no proximity to blackness. Some folks, like I said, even in Pennsylvania, who have never seen a black person
I went to
in
school with
real
some.
in
I
real
had
life.
friends. I went to school with some of them. Have you ever been
And
to their house?
right, and you played football, Uncle Selwyn, and so a lot of those guys. That's the first. They're only black.
Only black friends.
My teammates. That's
My
only
teammates.
black people
Yep, and-
I've ever seen. I ever know. And how do we go about making it matter to them, making
See,
them
that's
care?
our struggle. That is our struggle, is how do we get the ears that really need to hear it to listen? And that's why we have a unique approach to what we're going to do with Hope 929. And if you want to ever visit hope929.org is our website, anyone out there, because we might be coming to a community near you. And what brings people together? Sports, entertainment,
Block party.
food. So creating events that provides tools, that provides community collaboration and help build more sustainability. That's our approach to what we're doing with Hope 929. So yeah, that's the difficult part, because people are going off of what they see on TV, and then you create these stereotypes, and don't talk to them because if they're wearing a hoodie, they're a threat.
They got an extra
Like,
bone in their
come on
leg.
now, man. Like,
I love
it's
that.
just
I love that
ridiculous.
one thing.
We're people. People are people. Like, we don't have to fear each other because we're different or we look different. We're really a lot more alike than we are different. And it's just important to realize that. And how do we get people that need to hear these messages to actually listen to podcasts like these? That's our struggle right now.
The only difference between me, you, and her is that beautiful hair that you have. I'm bald. She's got hair. She's got less pigmentation in her skin. But I promise you, if she slips on the ice, she gonna hurt. When she gets sick, she feels bad. And people need to understand it. We're all the same. We have all the same makeup. Racism is a taught DNA. Somebody's think about this. How would it be for me to sit down and tell my little babies, listen here, anybody that skin's lighter than ours, we don't like. If you see them at school, you look at them and you pick at them. If they don't have a bigger house than we have, you don't talk to them. Think about those conversations that people actually have with their kids.
What if we
have
shifted
control
that conversation to, you know, don't be the smartest person in the room. Surround yourself by intellectual people, you know? Those kinds of messages would be a lot more effective than trying to differentiate people based on their skin color. I don't know. That's just my perspective.
Think
'Cause
about how crazy that is, man. For you to look at somebody, and because they're tall, they're short, they might be a little heavy, might be a little husky, or your hair, or your facial hair. Think about how judgmental people are by appearances.
socioeconomic class. The smartest person in the room could be a homeless person under a bridge. You know, you don't know what his walk was in life.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're basing it based on appearance, you're missing out on a lot.
Everybody
A
has
lot.
everybody has a
So-
story, brother. And you know,
So the platform you're both on right now, major journalism, the sponsorship, the platform, the production behind that is the people versus the anti-people. I'm wearing the shirt, and
hey, double X, double X.
I got you. I'll get an address from both of you guys, and we'll send you something out. And so the mentality behind that, obviously, as a brother, one who has read, who has done some studying, my fight and my purpose is, centered in our freedom. And
Are we ever going to be free?
well, that's a good question. But I think the people of themselves, and I get, asked that question all the time. And then wrapping up, I wanted to get your thoughts on that as well, because what you've both exemplified in this conversation and just in your work is the work of the people. And Uncle Selwyn, you said earlier in the conversation just that I'm Black first, but I'm here for all people. I'm here for and I look at it as more of a mentality. I think that the mentality of the people are those individuals, those entities, those groups, those organizations who understand that we're all one and that we're
Think about this.
fighting and moving towards us all being one. And I think once we distinguish that, then it's obvious who the anti-people are, or what the anti-people is. What are the organizations? What are the mentalities? What are the individuals who exhibit anti-people behavior, who are against us being together, who are against us being as one? I guess
hatred, jealousy, envy is a powerful emotion, my man. It's a powerful emotion.
and it's all fear based, really.
I had a situation. Oh God, about a month and a half ago, and I'm sitting here, and one of my friends called me from North Carolina, and she's like, "Uncle Selwyn, I'm gonna send you something. Look at it." And it was the fourth recruit in the United States, cornerback, that lived outside of Burlington, North Carolina, and he had a 14-year-old girlfriend. He was a senior, she was a sophomore. Should have had his butt whooped. And they went missing. And her little 17-year-old boyfriend followed them. They snuck out, they went in the woods, and the little 17-year-old kid followed them. This was Friday. Sunday they found him. They questioned the boy, and they did not arrest him because he was under the age of 18. And he killed 2 people. And they didn't arrest him. He's not arrested yet. So I reckon in my mind, there's nothing you can do that if you don't care, you don't care. And those aren't the people that we want to communicate with and talk to. If you want to hear me, I want you to hear me. If you don't want to hear me, if you think, hey, I need to go to Africa, hey, guess what? I'm not going. It's 126 degrees in the shade over there. I don't want to be there. It's too hot for me. But I'll leave you. I'll leave your presence, man. I'll leave your presence.
Shanks, I think that's why DEI training, diversity, equity, and inclusion training is so important in conversations today in organizations and police departments and schools. And we actually have a special guest that we're going to interview on the 17th of this month, and it'll come out at the beginning of the year. But I went to a racial equity summit, Central Arkansas, and she has a book. Her name's Candace Maxwell. She has a book called Shatter the System. And I was just going to quote one of the things she teaches, and it's that equity leadership is a personal journey of reflection, and the leader must be willing to not only declare equity as a driving force, but also demonstrate how equity is internalized and embedded in their personal beliefs and exemplified through their work. It's a prime example of what people need to do is unlearn certain things that they might have been taught growing up. I'm talking to white people right now, like
Yes.
we
Can you communicate?
You know what? That's a for you, Liz, because yeah, you know, and we've had that conversation a lot on a guest in a house podcast with my buddy Mickey Hess, and just the role of the white ally, and just understanding that just what you said. This is a conversation that in the mainstream should be having with the mainstream, and people like you who get it and are fighting against that mentality and against that current. Me and Uncle Selwyn don't need to be convinced of this, you know.
No,
Right?
I get that, and the
Yeah.
majority of our population aren't aware of the fight and the struggle that you guys experience. And people like me, I feel like could help promote that, you know, help be a voice and help pull people along. Like, hey, let's be open to this. Some people aren't even aware of the things that they're saying are racist and are offensive. And especially to those who've been oppressed. If you're flaunting that Confederate flag, it's offensive, especially to those who've been oppressed. And
Right. What they don't understand
mindfulness.
What they don't understand is it's us today, it's them tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's because at the end of the day, like Uncle Selwyn alluded to when we had the conversation about Candace Owens, this is a money thing. It's always going to be a money and power thing. And the minute
Always.
that the you know, Confederate flag waving, whatever. I mean, well,
What do you think about
there's a
January
power-
6th?
there's a power structure that is in power and maintains its power that needs hatred and ignorance to continue. And the minute that some of these people who don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of realize that the trick's been played on them the whole time, and they let go of just well, at least I'm not black, and realize like, hey, you know what?
They treat me like one.
Police brutality doesn't discriminate on color.
Yeah.
There might be more instances for people of color, but when it comes to you see it happening to all backgrounds
Right
at this
now,
point.
if
And
you are poor, if you're not in that economic range,
that was my point.
you
Yeah.
are just like a black person. You are gettable. Prime example, the guy, what is it, Rittenhouse, whatever his name is. A lot of people thought that the people that he killed were black.
What we need, I think, to help fix that is qualified professionals. There needs to be more training. It's not necessarily, I don't know what your opinion is about defunding. I don't think we need to necessarily defund. I just think we need to hold officers accountable for their actions. We need more training and hire actual highly qualified. And then while they're in the force, continue to have those assessments, mental assessments, because of what they go through. You kind of get numb and immune to certain things. And if you look at like the data and the statistics of police officers, there's high domestic violence, high suicide rates within the force, like the highest compared to the general population. So those types of issues, mental health and all of that needs to be addressed internally. Legislation needs to be changed. We were helping with the Medical Physicians Committee out of Massachusetts. They've been working on passing a medical civil rights bill for the population because right now we don't have a right to request medical care while being detained. And we're trying to pass it to where that can come into play. They would have to cease and then help assist individuals if this bill were to be passed. So there's so many discrepancies and issues that we need to bring to light and help make a change. But little by little, we can make a difference. Everybody can, and if we could come together and have conversation, that's where it starts.
Block party. Block party. I'm not from the block party.
Block party, food,
Uncle
music.
Selwyn, what is, in that light and in that vein, what is 1, 2, 3? Where do we start, in your opinion? And I'll ask the same question for you, Liz.
Communication, conversation, motivation, and education. That's the only way we can do this. If you don't know, you don't know. If you don't care, we don't want you. I want to associate with people that are like me. And when a fool talks, guess what you want to do? You want to listen. Because the next time you hear those words come out of somebody's mouth, you know that this isn't the person that you want to waste your time with. I don't think nobody's lost. Nobody's lost. Everybody has a chance to be a normal human being, to care. But that age demographic between 35 and down is where I want to work. Because people my age, Shanks, we got to die before the world changes.
But we're all human. We're emotional beings, right? So if people could just hear the stories, the personal stories, and then feel their heartstrings being pulled, I think that could change even the older generations. That's what I believe. That's just what I believe in my heart.
I had a bunch of old people.
I appreciate your optimism, Liz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
we know. The older they are, the more they hate us. It's simple. Because they were thinking about this.
And that's okay, because they won't be here forever.
They won't be here forever.
We've got to focus on the babies.
Don't care about, if you don't care, I don't care. But if you, I care about everybody.
There's a mentality that's just it's going away already. And that's what some of this is about. Just the holding on. It's like the final, whatever of this mentality it's dying.
Yeah, so, but man, I've met a whole lot of mature people. That's what I call them. Long in the tooth. That are not the angry, hate black. Wow, Mr. Uncle Selwyn, I appreciate and I thank you for your strength of what you're doing. And I want to touch, I want to feel my head. I want to touch myself. You want to say it to me? So, man, I know that it's working. It is working, because that death, that video, you had a lot of people watch that had no idea, that didn't care. But that video made the whole world stop for 3 days. For 3 days, the whole world stopped because they wanted to make a stand, and they made the stand. So, and what that does for me and Liz is it gives us an opportunity to keep making that stand, What else can I do, man?
What else can you do? Tell us before we wrap. Again, tell us about the book. Tell us about the podcast. Tell us about the nonprofit, and any words of encouragement, because we want to always end with some encouragement. Especially sometimes we go into the doom and gloom of it, but we want to end with some encouragement. So tell us everything you got going on and give us some encouragement.
I'm not going to sing a song yet, but I will. Setting It Straight with Selwyn podcast. You got to check that out, because you got me and my co-host Liz. We're telling some good stuff. We're educating, motivation. We are talking to
some irritation. You said
irritation. Dog, I got like 5 or 6 different variations. Yeah. But we got a lot of enthusiastic people that are making a difference. I want people to be equal. I want people to know that we only come here for a short amount of time. Why don't we live a good life and live a respectable life? Because as the great James Brown said, woo, got to do right by yourself. And hatred or hating someone because of their skin, what they have, what they don't have, that ain't being right by yourself. That's being cruel to yourself. That's being in a gate. That's being in a cage, locking yourself in. But on February 20th, it will be here. Silent Civil War that my nephew exposed. Autograph copies, fan entertainment. Check this, so I just got it going on. Liz, help me out because I got that short-term memory. I'm
like you said, podcast, Revolver Media platform. It's on all major podcasts, Spotify, Apple, whatever your preference is. Setting It Straight with Selwyn. If you want to pre-order his book for an autographed copy before February, fanentertainment.net, you can purchase his book. Highly recommend. All backgrounds will enjoy the historical perspective, no matter what your stance is on these issues. Hope929.org is our nonprofit organization, and we have some events that we are in the works of planning. Yes, please tune into our podcast. We have some profound guests that have amazing stories and knowledge, and join the conversation with us.
And you can watch me and Liz butt heads all the time. Because
well, not necessarily.
No,
somebody's got to put you in your place, Uncle Selwyn, and your wife does a tremendous job. Sometimes I think we need to get Miss Joey Jones on the podcast sometime to help us out. But no, in all seriousness, just for people listening out there, you have a place, a purpose, and a power to make a difference, and it's important to identify what your purpose is here on life. It's a miracle that you're here to begin with, and just being more aware and mindful of every step that you take and what you're leaving behind is what I preach to my children and my students. I'm an educator. I teach second grade, and helping them realize that, the one thing you get to leave behind is your impact. And this is a holiday season where I know a lot of people might be going through some mental health struggles because of the added stresses, and just pulling yourself out of that funk by realizing what your purpose is. And, maybe it might bring you joy to help others, whether it's giving or just lending a hand and having conversations, and make sure you're reaching out and talking to people, because you're never alone.
Doing something. If you
Setting It Straight Selwyn is our social handle. Setting It Straight Selwyn,
Twitter,
Instagram,
Twitter,
Facebook.
Instagram, you name it. But
beautiful,
a lot of people
beautiful.
sitting back and being quiet. Does that only soothes your heart. It doesn't soothe anybody else's.
Silence only perpetuates the issues.
If you got something to say, say it. Reach out to somebody.
Think about it first, though.
Yep. Oh man, let me tell you
that part. Think about it.
Reach out to somebody.
Thank you, Shanks. Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate
to have this conversation.
I appreciate both of you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your work. I appreciate your efforts, Uncle Selwyn. Thank you.
Always.
Liz Darden, thank you. This is Major Journalism. Happy holidays, although this will probably be out after the holidays.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's all good.
God bless you, baby. Let me know.
Yep.
Much love.
God bless.